Dear friends, welcome to Thalir. It means bud. It is budding force to a new life. And we are Capuchins working for the renewal of the society and the church. Dear brothers and sisters in Jesus Christ, on behalf of Thalir Capuchin Online Ministries, I welcome you for this week's special program meant for social work directors. This is from Thalir Visit, the virtual institute for spirituality, integrity, and transformation. We shall be dealing with project management and fundraising in this week. This is from part of the International Skills Development Program meant for the social work directors. This is from 16th to 20th of November, every day evening 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Indian time. On the 16th, we shall have the special session on the rights-based approach to development by Dr. Arul Kamaraj and Reverend Father Jyoti, a Jesuit priest. On the 17th and 18th, we shall have the sessions on project management and fundraising by Mr. Prabhakar. On the 19th, we shall have a special session on Foreign Contribution Regulation Act on the recent development by Dr. Kandasamy, the Audit and Finance Manager. On the 20th, we shall have a special session on the Catholic social teaching and the marginalized by Dr. Prakash Louis, a Jesuit missionary. Welcome to Thalir Capuchin Online Ministries.
Now, I would like to just introduce. Some of you asked, what is really Thalir, what you are doing, and what is this online thing? Just a short time, I want to give an introduction, a brief introduction about our lifestyle. This is a small village area. This is not even a village, roadside. We have got a community by a Capuchin. Sister, you can just close the thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead.
Yes. Okay. So before I leave this floor to Mr. Prabhakar, I would like to introduce you in short what's really happening. This is one of the activities of Thalir is the online ministries. This is called Virtual Institute for Spirituality, Integrity, and Transformation. Actually, one of the things that we focus here is the spiritual ministries and welfare of the religious life. That is motivational retreats. We give online retreats and monthly recollections. In this past Corona days, we already more than 700 religious have underwent our online retreats. And we also given this, what we are doing is this international training from September. We are focused on the major superiors on leadership and the formators training and the formees and the vows and other things. We are also having in December the financial management of the provinces and the congregations and the institutions. We'll be sending to you one of these days the outline, so you can always involve the province. You can also join because it's very good for you also. How to manage the finance is a very important thing. And also we have got from January onwards, we have got a course, international course on spirituality for the novices and the juniors who are going to make the final vows. And also, we have got this ongoing formation, different themes on spiritual growth, self-psychological guidance, midlife transition, health issues. All those things are meant for all those people like you and me who are ongoing formation, who are still going in this spiritual training and also emotional, holistic training. We also have got, as a Franciscan, there are a good number of Franciscan congregations all around the world, I think, just like Salesians and the Jesuits and Carmelites. We are focusing also on the Franciscan spirituality. It's a certificate course. Another thing, what we are focusing on the welfare of the marginalized. We focus on the rural children through soft skill. That what you have seen is that activity that we undergo somewhere nearby. We don't have school or anything, but we are giving these children some motivational training, handwriting, spoken English, and character building. And we also focus on the rural mothers, taking care of their family welfare, development of their children. So psychological welfare. And also we think we focus also on their socio-economic development of the marginalized people. Who are these people? The primitive tribes, the transgenders, the gypsies, the cobblers, and we are also thinking of entrepreneurship of the widows because we also caretake for the widows, and guidance also, guidance and entrepreneurship. Then motivation trainings and seminars for the families and for children, all these people, family welfare, parents and children, and also preparation for marriage and couples guidance. There are so many problems. We have got the first 5 years, a lot of diverse cases are there. So we focus on the marriage and couples guidance, youth guidance, and aptitude test for school children, and skills development for the teachers. Already we have given a training for more than 1,200 teachers participated. Once again, we are going to have December 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And another thing is socio-economic uplift of the marginalized. For this, we need that we are planning for the entrepreneurship of rural women, like tailoring section, making soap powder and liquid, then bakery items and snacks. Also, we are planning to use all these things for the people who are coming to the government hospitals nearby. Every 300 outpatients are there, very, very poor, the neglected one. Their question is survival. So they need basic food. So the right to food for the basic right, we want to focus with all that. Even this mission, what you are receiving from you, a part of the money is going for this soup kitchen. That is mainly meant for Annadam. Okay. So these are some of the things that we are undertaking, brothers and sisters. So now I am going to introduce on the project management already over. Now we are focusing on the fundraising. For fundraising, as a religious, we need to have this particular mindset of Gandhi in our mind. You cannot serve God and mammon both. I have always felt that when a religious organization has more money than it requires, it is in the peril of losing its faith in God and pinning its faith on money. The fact is, the moment financial stability is assured, spiritual bankruptcy is also assured. So therefore, one of the rules for fundraising for religious is detachment. Don't give importance to money. Don't give credit to this money, but rather credit to the people. The fundraising is always on the side of the poor people. The social director's work director's job is very often we think it's a coveted post. It's a very, very shameful. I myself, as a CBCI Commission Secretary, when I went for the JPCI, I have come across people who are enjoying this. There are bishop's house where the people will go, priests will go, not to the bishop, but they'll go to the social directors because money. The problem is transparency and accountability. We are neither slave nor attached to money. This should be the basic rule, a foundation of every religious who are working for the social, because the flow of fund is always possible, but see that you don't get attached to this. No money will come to me. No money will come to my private pocket, to my near and dear ones, kith and kin. This should be a norm of every social director. That's the first virtue and the last virtue of a religious who are going for fundraising. I have come across a lot of problems. The one director was telling, what father will write a project, at least 50% will spend for the project. The rest what happened 50%? No question, no answer. So this is the problem. And one father was telling, in Delhi he was there, I said, how is things are going on in June, July at that time? And he is telling, Father, my project is ready, flood relief project. But unfortunately, every year there used to be flood. This year we don't have flood. I don't know what to do with this. He was really feeling very sorry there was no flood. Look at the situation. So therefore, remember the inner voice of every social worker should be the cry of the poor. No personal ambition for money. Money-centered social work or the rights-based social, the rights-based social uplift. This should be the question. To be or not to be. So detachment from the money is very important. There are so many good models. I have come across one particular model I would like to say, that one Father Varghese from Madhya Pradesh, very good priest and religious priest. He said, I was preparing this for preparation. I had money for second AC for the train. He came always with third AC, always third AC. And all other people are flying and coming to Delhi. So when I asked what is the thing, we could have easily come for second AC. He said, Father, I made a vow. I am answerable to God. Even if you give thousands of rupees, I will never touch, because that doesn't belong to me. I will love to be a poor person. I will die as a poor person, because I am answerable to God for anything that is going on. So dear friend, this is some of the things that I would like to have as an introduction, even though it has taken some time. I think this will pave way for us to listen to the element of fundraising. fundraising, detachment from money, the poor focus. Therefore, I invite for Mr. Prabhakar the second day to speak about fundraising. Welcome, sir. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Father. Good evening to everyone. Can we stop this screening?
Yes, you can start your.
Yeah.
Stop sharing. Okay, thank you.
Okay. So, good evening once again, everyone. Very happy to be back and welcome back to this second day session. I thought I would start with the questions that were raised. Few questions in the previous day, yesterday was not answered. Maybe we can start with that. One question was asked about the current trends of the social work. Actually, it's a kind of a wide topic which has to be dealt in maybe days. But quickly, I would share that the most outstanding issues with regard to social work as trends are these: health, water, food, climate change. Maybe we can call it as environment. So these are the four outstanding trends that we need to address as social workers. And yesterday, some of you were also asking about this log frame. Can we close? I mean, how to close this? Remove this, Mr. Father Ban?
Yes, Father, there is an option called end slideshow.
No, the top menu I want to remove. This one.
Heading further, we are able to see only the table further.
Okay then.
Everything is clear, sir.
Yeah. For me, it is coming.
Okay. For us, only table is coming.
Go to the sideways and select view.
I think it is fine, Father.
No,
For me, it is.
You can go to the view and select the standard view, sir. Right click on view.
Okay, you say the PowerPoint is blocking your view?
Yeah, yes.
Father, you are using Windows or Apple?
No, HP, window only.
Windows, then it is difficult, Father.
Okay.
That means you have to use two systems. If it is Apple, then you have another option. Okay.
Okay, maybe I will keep like this.
Okay.
Now it has come, Father.
Yeah.
Okay.
So someone was asking about the logical framework. So LFA, we call it. This is the content of the entire LFA that you need to work on when you start preparing a proposal, be it a concept note or a smaller proposal or a longer proposal, whatever it may be. This is the structure with which we need to work on. So as you see in your left side, you see the overall objectives, expected outputs, and the list of activities. And the next column, the next row will be on resources. As it is needed, you can add on. So for the overall objective, what is the intervention logic? So you'll have to just fill in here. So what is the project is overall is trying to achieve. And here you will be mentioning about the key indicators related to the overall objective. So objectively verifiable indicators of achievement. So And the third one is the sources of verification. What are the sources of information for these indicators available when you formulate a goal? Similarly, for the objectives. So what specific objectives is the project intend to achieve through this project? Maybe one, maybe two or three. So you can list down as many objectives you want here. And similarly, for each objective, there will be specific objectives based indicators listed here. So, and similarly, for these each objectives indicators, you will have to also say what will be the source of information that will be provided for the sake of reference. And here, as we also discussed yesterday, assumptions. So which factors and conditions outside the project's responsibility are necessary to achieve these specific objectives? So which are basically comes from the external conditions. So we were trying to understand the chart of attribution gap yesterday. So from that perspective, we'll have to explain here the assumptions with regard to the objectives. So similarly, output. For each objective, you will have to list down output, maybe one or two for each objective. And similar for if you have three objectives, maybe each of these objectives will have two to each outputs each. And each of them will have a kind of a logic that you will have to explain here. And then what are the indicators and the source of verifications for the same, and similarly assumptions. So for activities also you'll have to mention in the same way. And for a sample, is this. So which we had worked on for a project in the Northeast. And if you notice, so we don't have to go in detail, but this is a kind of a structure. If you are able to understand what is there in the structure, it will be helpful for you. For example, you see, this is the kind of overall objective, overall goal of the project. And then for the interventions logic, we have made several objectives down there. And then for each objective, we have indicators, indicator 1, 2, 3, like that. And based on these indicators, what is the outcome is going to be brought out here. And then these are the kind of a source of verifications here. Since they don't have any assumptions and risks, they have not added anything. They have only added, these will be kind of a reference point for each of the indicators developed based on the each of the objective. So similarly, if you see down, objective 2, objective 3, for each of them, they have developed a similar kind of thing. So this is how, if you prepare, it will help to go further approaching the donor, so that it becomes easy. As I said, it is a kind of a Bible for your project. So you have everything in it, and then you just say give to the donor. So donor is able to understand and visualize your project perspective that you have set in the proposal. And what is this indicators? So I was trying to say yesterday, but we will try to understand what are these indicators. So indicators, as I said, at each level there has to be indicators. So let us take, for example, 20 training courses on organic farming and marketing are held is an activity. So it is a process, it is going to take place. And then at the output level, at the use of output level, at the outcome level, at the impact level, you will have to state what exactly the monitor is going to be visualized as. For example, at the process level, monitor whether planned activities took place, whether these 20 training courses on organic farming and marketing are held. That is one thing. Similarly, output, the percentage of farmers have increased their knowledge. So that is another indicator. At the use of output level, how many farmers or the percentage of farmers apply the new marketing skills? At least we should be able to state at the initial stage the percentage of farmers will be gaining out of this program, because that would definitely satisfy the donors who come forward to give you fund. And at the outcome level, a family income increased by 30%. So this is basically these three areas will be highly looked at by the donor. So you'll have to such a way create kind of an atmosphere in your proposal to clearly state that in these three stages, clear changes has to be stated so that they understand. So this is basically illustration of changes in behavior and improvement in living conditions. Particularly now in this context, we are talking about the farmers. So this has to come this way. So, and what are the types of indicators you'll have to bring in when you put forward your indicators? The counting. So how much really do you require for each process or for each activity in the proposal that you have requested for fund? And scaling. So how do you scale from 1 to 10 by yourself? And also rating has to be reflected. Classifying has to come in. For example, when you talk of a delivery at hospital or at home means with the help of trained nurse or without trained nurse. So what is the kind of a classification that you want to make for an issue related to health with regard to delivery if you are going to assist women who are carrying? And similarly describe. So some sort of qualitative aspect also has to come in the indicators. So involve people's perceptions about a subject. For example, a quality of, extent of, degree of, all these things has to come in the indicators. For example, let us take a variable called drinking water. So the target group is household. So target quantity, number of households with access to water. For example, 500 at the end of the first year, 2000 at the end of the project period. So the quality, usage of water, clean, safe water. So that is a quality that you want to give. When it is going to happen? Between January 2018 to 2022. So where maybe I have just stated Madurai. So combine all this variable, target group, target or quantity, quality, time frame, location, everything in a single sentence in a very smaller form as indicator. By 2022, household members in 2000 households are adequately using safe drinking water resources in Madurai. This is a sample of an indicator. That's how you make an indicator. Visually, maybe you can show like this. So for example, this is a sample from Rajasthan. So people carry water in camel transport from their villages. Indicator, what you take to consideration is time and money. How much time is taken to travel to fetch water and how much money is spent to fetch this water, spent on transporting water. Is an issue. How it is addressed? So on average rupees by constructing a well. So you have constructed a well within the village location. So hence an average of rupees 350 per month and 2 hours per day saved per family that was earlier spent on fetching water with camel chart. So this is how we have addressed the issue. So quickly you have shown the indicator and it is very quickly understood by the donor. So this is one way of also reporting to the donor. So again, I would call upon your attention to understand this is how we have been functioning earlier. So the focus was on everything, but particularly whether money is spent on all the activities, whether you have completed the activities. But now they are sure the focus is going to be on the use of output, outcome, and the impact. So keep in mind when you develop a project for anything in any form, so that these things are clearly needed for the donor. Okay, somebody also was asking for a sample proposal. I will just show and then quickly go through. And this is based on climate change and risk involved in this, and then promoting some livelihood options for the farmers. We had developed this project, and this project was implemented for about 6 years also. And this is how it goes. And normally general information has to be provided, you know, what are all things they require, and related to general information, they ask several questions like this, and then it has to be answered, and it goes on. And you speak about the time from when and sorry. And also you have to give the background of the project. I'm sorry about this. Father Brian?
Further, I think you have to go outside and open the proposal PDF. No, is it PDF?
Yeah, it's a PDF.
Yeah, you have to come out and open the PDF.
No. Have you opened as a PDF, Father?
Yeah.
Okay, then click the share screen and choose the PDF
Okay.
and share.
Okay. But it is not coming here.
Have you opened the PDF? Keep the
Right.
PDF open.
It's open only.
Yeah, now click the green color share screen.
Since this one is there, it is really.
The share screen is a green color.
Yeah.
Okay, you can click and go to the files.
Some technical.
Okay, no, sir. It's going to be completely a model you are going to share. That
Yeah.
can come a little later. But I can go
Okay.
continue. Then we'll share it. We'll just if Ben will share it.
Okay.
Yeah. In the meantime, when the question hour, you can send us by email. We can do that.
Yeah. Okay. Now we will start maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. So sorry about that. So we will come back to that, and then maybe we can reflect on that. And so our main concern for today is fundraising. So I thought I will start with this quote. Particularly, it's a kind of a challenge to leaders. It's no longer our resources that limit our decisions. It's our decisions that limit our resources. So I think maybe we'll have to work on the decisions that we make with regard to our initiatives in terms of development for the people with whom we work. And before that, so we need to set up a purpose for all that we wish to endeavor for fundraising. So what do we need to do is to establish a continuing, systematic and long-term program for generating funds that will be used solely for the development of the institutions. Second, we need to organize and establish a community-based fundraising program to tap sources of funds from individuals, corporations, foundations, and other sources in the institution's areas of influence. And thirdly, we need to develop strong voluntary support programs to support the institution financially. and to make it more a part of its community. And we need to provide opportunities for people, foundations, and organizations to participate in the joy of giving and sharing. So, keeping all these purposes in mind, I think we need to move on. So, before we ask, we need to also examine ourselves with regard to governance in relation to leadership in philanthropy management. How are we equipped, starting from the top of the religious organization till the management level? And then also, where are we with regard to stewardship and accountability and financial management, particularly financial plan leading to investment planning, and human resource management on the team, well trained for development work, and database management. So, are we equipped in these areas? Because that is one of the core areas we need to equip. We need to be equipped at this point of time when we venture into fundraising.
So that slide is not changing, I think.
This,
It is still in the challenge to leaders.
oh, for me it goes on.
Oh,
Okay.
you double click on the side.
Further,
Yes.
down below.
Yes, it's
the
coming now.
main,
Now it's okay.
Yes,
right.
yes, yes.
It's correct.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Can I go over again or it's okay?
No, it's okay. You can continue.
Yeah. And one of the main thing that we need to understand, we are approaching many granting agencies, many companies, many foundations, many donor agencies. But then one thing that we need to keep in mind is that though they give money to all that we ask for, there are a variety of people inside. So to understand them, maybe I have listed on few that would help where exactly the type of money with lying with the type of people. So one thing is, the first one is the communitarian type. The communitarian usually comes from a business background. They desire to keep their gifts in the community to which they belong, support networks of other like-minded business owners, and take a business-like approach to giving. See, these people have about 26.3% of money lying out there with them globally as of the update, the latest update. And we have another type of donors who are devout, 20% of money lying with them. The devout are the second largest group with 20.9%. They give because it is God's will that they do. Giving is a religious act, a moral obligation. They restrict their giving to organizations that support and promote the beliefs that they do, but they will give to national and international organizations. And the third one is investors. So they have about 15.3% of money lying with them. The investor donor gives with the intention of doing good as well as for personal estate and tax planning reasons, and approach charities in a very business-like fashion. So their dealing is very clear. They deal with the any people coming forward to ask for donations or fund, they treat them as business. So they make up about 15.3% as mentioned above. And they give because they are able to do so, and they go about their selection of the charity much the same way they select investments. So it is like a kind of another investment for them, giving money or donating or giving fund or giving grants. And another one, they are socialites. Socialites are outgoing and fun-loving donors. They find philanthropy a great way to make the world a better place while having fun doing it. Socialites make up this much of percentage as major donors. They enjoy fundraising projects as a way to tap into and to develop their social network of friends and look to this network for support and are interconnected throughout to many of their contacts philanthropic interests. These socialites mainly maybe like sports related interests or arts or culture and things like that. Altruists represent 9% of the major donors. This group avoids publicity, but they believe giving is a moral imperative. They give to grow spirituality and tend to support social causes that help the elderly and the poor. Repayers want to give back. This is something like replication. So, like you, the money in rotation has to go on. So that type of this thing they like. So for example, you buy 10 goats and then you invest money for buying those 10 goats. Those people who bought 10 goats in reverse have to buy return back the money, but by gaining livelihood out of the goats, but money is returned. The same money is given to another 10 people, so they buy 10 goats and then benefit out of the goats, and money goes on in rotation. So something that type of example that they are happy with by giving funds. They are made up of people who have directly benefited from the charity and now want to show their gratitude through reciprocation. This group makes up to 10.2% of major donors. Repayers feel that the wealthy have a special responsibility to give. They give because good results will follow and believe non-profits are more helpful than government agencies. So repayers don't usually select the charity selects them. Dynast. The dynast comes from a long tradition of giving. So it is, I mean, they keep giving. Socialized from early childhood that giving is expected. This group is well schooled in the importance of philanthropy. Giving is part of their concept of self, and they believe everyone has an obligation to give. So they believe philanthropy is more effective than government programs. They take care before selecting a charity and are likely to use professional advices. Our task is to identify these type of donors and profile accordingly and match our needs and our wants to these people. So how do we manage donors is another important thing. So one is donor cultivation. This entails the process of establishing relationship with the donors, existing and would-be donors to support the cause. So this habit has to be cultivated by us. And if you want to continue our social work initiatives, as we like to call it, but professionally it's a development initiatives, we have to definitely cultivate habit of preserving the relationship that we have already established with the donors, and also establish a new list of donors to support the cause wherever that we would like to start with. And another one is solicitation. This is the soliciting strategy in place in order to get funding and make them available according to the preference and interest of the donors. And the third one, of course, the donor relations and retentions. This is the stewardship programs of the organizations in taking care of the existing donors so that they can continue to support the mission, upgrade their giving, and advocate for the cause, thus influencing more donors to support the mission. This retention is often we fail. For example, we can just recall our experience with the several donors. Each of our congregations must have in one way or the other been connected to some donors. But now we are not connected, but the donors exist. The donors continue to support. So we'll have to seriously ask why they have been supporting us so far and why not now. So it's a serious question, because probably, as I said yesterday, they have changed the standard operating procedures. There were several global based declarations were conducted in Rome and in other countries, in Paris and things like that, where they decided, the donors came up with some policies, some common global policies through which they operate. And probably we have failed to understand those emerging policies and emerging style of giving and standard procedures that they have set up. And probably their expectation has changed. Their way of asking the proposal, their way of asking, because the basic question will lie when they come to the sustainability. We can't keep on asking for a single project every time. So we want to educate poor children, 50 of them, 60 of them, 100 of them. So numbers may increase, but what happened to those who were educated is a basic question. So with that, we seriously get into this topic now, fundraising. So because of all these struggles that not only the religious congregations who are seriously working in the field of development go through, but also the several non-governmental, non-profit, not-for-profit organizations also are really struggling. Thus, they ended up with this concept fundraising. So they are looking for money beyond the grants that are already exist, or along with the grants they are receiving, they are also looking for fundraising, because the percentage of giving from the donor side has been reduced, and so they'll have to look for alternatives. So which means it is simply a process of seeking and gathering voluntary. This is the basic word in fundraising. So we'll have to look for the voluntary financial contributions, maybe by individuals, businesses, charitable foundations, or even governmental agencies. For example, US, they have their own website wherein they come up with a lot of projects, which is called grants.gov, and where you go and log in and become a member, and then you'll be notified when you have some projects in your own locations, anywhere in the globe. So it is basically a project or starting a venture fundraising by using different sources to get funds to do something. So how are we? Maybe they are coming from bank, grants, and foundations. Funds can even be generated online through crowdfunding and other sources. This another concept, emerging concept, which is very much prevalent now among the NGOs, CBOs and CSOs, and I hope we are all aware of that. And I also see in some active crowdfunding websites, there are also several religious congregations who are member and benefiting out of that. And maybe that we will see little later, I will explain. And before that, we need to understand now, as part of fundraising, these are the few pillars are concretely coming up on which we need to reflect. To survive and thrive in a changing world, a not-for-profit organization must develop a fundraising plan that rests on these pillars of fundraising. I think the immediate thing that each of us, if not so far, have not done, we'll have to do is a plan, a fundraising plan. What is our fundraising plan for the next 3 years or next 5 years? So that has to be done. In that, the first pillar may be as considered grants. Grants, we are not actually new to this concept, this pillar, because we have been getting grants from several donors. So it is basically because it is an important source of funds. So also it is a constant topics of search. So we may not be aware of other fundraising techniques, but then anytime if your superior or if your project leader asks you to look for some grants, you will definitely search who are the grant givers. So who are the granting agencies or foundations and things like that. So there are federal government, philanthropic, community and corporate trusts and foundations who are still giving grants, as I said yesterday, but we need to really hunt for them and look. They are available. It is based only on our search to identify a proper federal government, a philanthropic or community or corporate trust or foundation within our location. So the trick is knowing how to get our share. So that is very important. So identifying these people is one thing, but then how to get money for our wants is another thing. So our wants are who will provide. So this is, of course, it will be time consuming and even stressful at time when you sit to prepare for proposals. You prepare an enormous proposal. Maybe you should have seen the proposal which I was trying to show. It took 6 months for us to finalize that proposal. But somehow we were able to get that money. And in case if you don't get, it is really stressful. And the time dedicated to planning or organizing proposals can only help. So you'll have to make sure if one of your aim is, or if one of your apostolate is development, definitely you'll have to spend time. So the second pillar is donations. So often we think it is hard, or we are hesitant to ask, or we think that how can we are not worthy to get donations and things like that. But there are supporters and donors who will donate. For that, what is required is right administration processes is in place. So you'll have to have some plan. So you'll have to establish, how do we establish these donations? And so maybe you check out your contacts, check out your beneficiaries. Beneficiaries may be well established now, so why not they donate something? And your contacts, so you have good contact. Many of you are also, since you are in abroad, so you have wider contact, a global contact. So get a contact one-on-one. So from them you go to another and let them show another 10 people. And those 10 people though show some other 10 more numbers. So to establish this relations itself, we need to have a plan, a clear-cut plan in the administration process. So being clear from the outset about what we would like to do with any donations we receive. So you can't also simply asking, so we have a program, so give money. But everything has to be reflected in a plan. So that's why I said a plan is a must. So learning the right way to ask. So there is also, there are some people, the same community will have difficulty. Will say, hey, that father is able to mobilize lakhs and lakhs, but whereas I am only few thousands, sometimes not even thousands. So you'll have to maybe learn the skill from that particular father. So you may be having the way of talking to the persons who come forward to donate, the supporters who come forward to donate. There are people who are willing to support the cause that all the religious people are taking. So, but how do we identify those? That is important. And another one, the third one, as I said, crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is simply means is a money coming from the crowd, a smaller amount coming from the larger crowd. So maybe 10 lakh, but maybe 10 lakh people must have given 10 lakhs. Maybe 100 rupees, maybe 500 rupees, maybe 1,000, 10,000, 50,000, 1 lakh and things like that. So that is how crowdfunding is coming. So that happens in online. So through some campaign, some events, for a specific project, it is done. It differs from traditional fundraising in a number of ways, but the most significant is the importance of setting a target. For example, you want to organize a campaign for educating, like father at the beginning was telling about his initiatives in the near Vellore, in the villages, the poor villages were shown. So that is a fantastic cause. So for 50 people you want to support, so 50 children have to be educated. So first list out what are the things you want to provide them. Maybe a smaller building for them to sit in, because they are sitting on the roadside for evening tuitions. So maybe a plan for constructing a small building at the cost of 10 lakhs. Just say this is the reason we are asking. So if they are given kind of a very good accompaniment in their education, they will shine well in their schools. So construct a small building or provide books or stationaries or anything that they require. So that has to be made as a campaign and then projected in the online. And it has to reach to as many contacts that you have in your contact. So not necessary that you will have thousands of them. As I said, you may have 10 of them. Request those 10 to kindly forward this to the people to whom they are closer to, and that's how it spreads. So the fundraiser in this also sets a target. People pledge an amount, usually in exchange for some form of reward, but sometimes just as a straight donation, and the amount pledged donated is remitted to the fundraiser only if the target is reached. It takes energy and creativity, but it can bring in much needed funding and attract a whole new audience of supporters. So where do we do? For example, you can quickly, after this sessions or in the coming days, you can refer to these websites: Give India Fundraising, Keto, and several others. You just put in your search in Google for crowdfunding agencies, you will get like this. What do these people do? They make all the NGOs or the CBOs and CSOs as members in their website, and then they collect necessary documents from them. So all the processes they will direct you. So just sign in and then register in this particular this thing, for example, and then you can project through the common. Sometimes when the possibility of getting your target achieved faster in this is because there will be about hundreds and thousands of members projecting at a time several campaigns. If your campaign is attractive, people opening for other NGOs to support, they might be attracted by your campaign and then they might also support. So there is also a possibility in this kind of emerging platforms. So just click on the Google search, put as crowdfunding platforms. So you will get several of them. Maybe who are in your locations, you can just get the details from them. And if you are satisfied, share your documents and then register so that you can also do some fundraising via crowdfunding. And another one is memberships. Most of us have colleges, universities, and alumni program. And of course, you can, if you have a kind of a very predictable and renewable funds from them, it will be very nice. A handy source of regular and predictable and renewable funds can come from them. So they can be made as friends of schemes and they can serve much the same purpose. But what is important is here is a sense of belonging also has to come from the supporters. So they should think that this institution gave me education and because of which I am who I am. So I need to help, I need to support. So they should come forward at least to give a minimum amount as a membership cost every year, and that becomes also a sort of fundraising potential for you. But most importantly, you have to see whether they have the potential. So maybe they are only the poor people who are educated, and what about this membership thing? So maybe at least something or the other, if your congregation has visualized for a commercial purpose through which you can also raise this membership cost. So which also can become part of the fundraising as one of the main pillar. And another one is events. So yes, we may be working with poor communities, we may be working with very downtrodden, marginalized and things like that. But then still some organizing some events will be very important. So you can collaborate with the local corporates, local companies, local agencies, or some big hotels, or anybody who has the potential for money. Just collaborate with them and organize, get their support to organize the fetes, festivals, talent contests, art shows, or sometimes film nights. Call the entire village people to project a film. But then in order to project a film for those community people, ask the projectors themselves to contribute something or organize a games nights for youngsters. So collect money. The viewers can be collected money. So progressive dinners. So maybe organize dinners for all the commercial schools in your city, commercial boys and girls studying in the commercial school, or all the well-off people, officials working in the town. So call them for a dinner and just give them, ask them, you just provide dinner for 100 rupees, but ask them to pay 500 rupees. So you can also ask, conduct athons, walkathon, runathon, readathon. So you'll have to, I was talking about socialites, no? So earlier, so those people will fall easily into this sort of this thing. So if they are interested in walking for a cause, running for a cause, or to read a book, or recently I think the sisters in Philippines will be available. They conducted sleeping on roadside. So they slept for a cause on one night for the people, those who are homeless. So some sort of events can be organized like that, and then sponsored record attempts, and then also for each week can be themed after something, and then collect something for that week. If your school is kind of a commercial based school, or college is a commercial based college, let every student contribute something. Start with 10 rupees, 20 rupees, 100 rupees, and then something like that. So you are able to raise some fund out of that. And then sales here, I don't say, we have to go and sell something, but then what we know, what you do, what you have, or what you can sell. So you are having a school. On behalf of your school, go to other schools and talk about something on this concept. Let that bring in some income, some earned income to your congregation, or to the cause that for which you want to raise fundraising. And also money raised through this method is generally united money. People have already paid for what they want. They don't expect anything else from us. What is this? So in a year, let's say one particular congregation can offer a course on a particular topic. So you have been already paid. So they know they are going to gain something from this topic, something unique. Maybe some skills that you are going to teach to the other children. Something that you are doing in your school is a very good model. You want to replicate that model in the other schools. So do it at the cost of something. And that becomes as part of fundraising. So that means we can use the fundraising money raised through this method for pretty much whatever you want. So this sort of money coming from outside can be used for any other immediate or emergency cause that you want to use for. Okay. So another one is sponsorship. So creating a successful community business partnership is the focus here. So this comes through volunteering, involving individual employees or groups, skilled or unskilled laborers. So sponsoring has to become a quality or a behavior of the people with whom you are working or you have engaged with. Maybe your employees, maybe individuals who are connected to you in some form or the other, who always come forward to sponsor something, maybe in kind or in cash, whatever may be. So this is a contribution of skills, knowledge, and experience. So anything it can be. So they can come and take a class for your children, share some skills. That skills can be replicated to others in the form of money. That knowledge can be shared in the form of money to others. That experience can be taken to other elsewhere in the form of money. So sharing, donation of premises, infrastructure, including office space, meeting space, storage, everything becomes sponsorship. Suppose you have a premise, maybe you give out for a kind of people in the communities go and pay a huge money for some marriage celebrations or any other celebrations. So give them at the low cost. So let them come and use your premises and then let them give some money. So take that money as part of fundraising. So these are all few pillars, I think, based on which we'll have to develop the quality of fundraising. And of course, that has to come from the governance point of view from your congregation. So what are some of the possible methods? So as I said, I'm just kind of consolidating grants, cash donations, contributions, fundraising campaigns, crowdfunding, matching grants. What is this matching grants? Matching grants is simply, some of you are asking about the CSR. See, CSR has a nature of supporting the initiatives related to development. So they have very few components, like education will be their focus, health will be their focus, livelihood, maybe in livelihood, social enterprising or community based enterprise and things like that. But how this matching grants comes from them, you'll have to locate the particular CSR working in your location, because a CSR in Chennai will never will be willing to support initiatives in Bangalore, because you'll have to look for CSRs working in the maybe the same CSR, same corporates, same companies working in Bangalore can help your initiatives in Bangalore. Same thing within the state also. If it is not within their purview of operation, they will not be definitely giving, though they will publish openly that they are supporting some grants, they will not support. So matching grants is like also mean they will see your potential. Suppose the program that they want to support is costing about, let's say, 10 lakhs. They will give you only 5 lakhs. So the rest of the 5 lakhs has to come in your potential. So how do we match that grant? Not maybe in cash, maybe giving a space, giving some materials, giving out our vehicles and things like that. So that way you can match the grants. So you can easily get 5 lakhs rupees from that. And similarly, corporate matching programs and the program service revenue. If any programs that you are giving as a service, you can also take that revenue as one of the possible methods for this one. In-kind donations. So we have a lot of needs for our children. So there are some websites who come forward to give children as material. So they give notebooks in bulk, pen and stationery items in bulk, slippers, clothing in bulk. So that you'll have to just see, and you can also get in-kind donations. And the giving circles. So what is your giving circles? So how are we connected? I mean, any program you should be free enough to tell in that circle that you are going to organize this program. So immediately that circle takes care of the responsibility in supporting your need. And unrelated business income also can become a part of this fundraising initiatives, and other income also can be given, because a lot of institutions do that. So they give their profit as a share of their profit to other initiatives taken in the rural initiatives by the congregations. So where are these major sources of funding again is lying? But of course we know there are two types of funding, that is conventional and non-conventional. Conventional, of course, the existing and the donor based grants that are coming, and some of us are very much connected, some of us are not but some of us are still need to identify who are the donors and things like that. So we are of a variety of people. And there is another one is called non-conventional level, which is what we were talking so far about, the alternative fundraising. So they come from bilateral and multilateral aid as one of the biggest sources. One. The second one, the private charities. There are foundations, there are international organizations which are still equipping local NGOs, not just financially but also technically. So we'll have to see. We cannot look always in terms of money. Suppose you want to purchase quite a few computers for your school children who are poor and who need to be equipped with computer knowledge, you can approach some corporates, some companies who technically provide that facility. So same thing, corporate agencies. And as I said again, I can definitely give a list of corporates, but then that will not help. So we ourselves have to hunt for the corporates which are working in our own circles and then get connected to them. How they have to be connected, maybe eventually we can also discuss later on. Some countries, the local governments, community welfare and development schemes are there. As I said, the grants.gov, US based this thing, and similarly other agencies are there wherein we need to be registered, and then they give us a hint on whenever there are some calls coming for proposal in our locations. And of course, donations and gifts, mostly from individuals and informal groups, is another source of funding. And finally, the non-conventional resources include also the micro enterprises, microfinance, and micro insurance. I suppose the day before yesterday, I was partly listening to the sessions wherein you are discussing about all these concepts, working with women, forming them self-help groups, making them federations and things like that. And for them, of course, these concepts will definitely work well. Micro enterprise, microfinance, and micro insurance. To support specifically these initiatives, there are agencies. Maybe we can also, you can also look for those agencies. Particularly, we were working with ILO, International Labour Organization, which was helping us in micro insurance. So, wherein we came up with some concept for health. So, there are agencies globally as well as locally that again, as a development body, you'll have to hunt. And again, those major sources can come from these, as I said, more or less maybe a reputation, individual donors, foundations, a planned donation bequest, corporate giving, government, earned income, federated funds. And this is something which is emerging currently, fiscal sponsors or a virtual capital, a new idea of non-profit organizations. So finding investors willing to support capacity costs or other programs of new organization. So this is a kind of an emerging concept. Maybe you can still work on that. Having said all that, there are challenges. The challenge is donor funds are there, are the lifeline of NGOs in developing countries. So it is not one single congregation in one single place is looking for fund, but there are also maybe non-religious, non-faith-based organization, a locally emerged NGO or several other NGOs, several other CBOs and the CSOs will definitely are 24 hours in the lifeline. They look for funds. And the supply of aid is there, but the demand for more work with the community is sometimes contradicting, because the demand is sometimes more, the supply is less. So that's why the donors, the grant givers scrutinize in their giving. And the donor funds have tremendous limitations and restrictions. As I said, after several sittings in many declarations, global declarations, the donor agencies have become clever enough and they have set a lot of limitations and restrictions. And we had a very heated argument few years back in Calcutta when so many NGOs across the country came forward to discuss with the donors, and they were not at all ready to accept the limitations and restrictions set by those donors. But we'll have to study, and then we'll have to reshape ourselves, and accordingly we'll have to give the proposals. There is no other choice. So developmental activities for the welfare of the community, plenty, but the choices are few. Again, that is another challenge. Funding resources from foreign donors are not sustainable. That we'll have to understand why, because now they have restricted. So maybe if you see some proposals, they will say that they can only give 80-20, 80% only they can give, 20% we have to match. Sometimes it is 60-40, sometimes 50-50, sometimes even 60 will have to take care, 40 they will give. Sometimes they will give only very less and things like that. So it is going in that direction. So that is also is not very sustained. So we need to think beyond just donor funds. So that's why so much of fundraising techniques that we talked about have to take its shape by our breaking of heads. Not to stopping on depending upon external funding, but becoming creative to overcome the challenges is important. So we need to definitely analyze the advantages and disadvantages of fund sources. That will be a kind of ultimate thing that can take us to the good direction. So let us hope that non-conventional sources are the best one to move ahead and hence grow the concept of fundraising. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Prabhakar. It's a wonderful, very, very clear message that you have given us. And all aspects, it's not just one thing. It's how locally can raise the fund, how we can appeal to the people, how to convince the donors, and also how to utilize it. And yesterday you spoke about when the money comes, how to utilize the program. I think both these days were extraordinarily good. And there are certainly a lot of things to be clarified. Some are very curious, I think. And we are really grateful to you for availing your time for us, because all these brothers and sisters who are attending this, they are really committed people in the grassroots. They are finding a lot of difficulties because they do not know probably what all things, how to write, who are the people. Some of the questions they are asking is very, very rudimentary. They need to know a lot of homework is to be done. I think now I leave to Father Ben to take some 15 minutes, and then we'll officially close it 7:30. But still, I think there may be some questions you can continue to clarify. Thank you so much, and I welcome Father Ben to take the floor to organize this question and answer.
Yeah, maybe before Father Ben continues,
Yes.
I just would like to really
Yes.
thank Father Francis Xavier. I mean,
Yes.
Father Jesuit Father. I mean, our rector in Loyola College, for connecting me to you, so
Yes.
that I can share some of my skill set. So I really thank Father Francis, and
Yes.
also Dr. Thomas, our PRO there, and who was very much encouraging to be part of this initiative. So thank you so much. On behalf of you, I thank Father Francis and Dr. Thomas. Yeah,
Thank you.
power to Father Ben.
On behalf of our Talir family also, we want to thank you and the Jesuits. Francis Xavier was the first hit in our open batsman in our whole program, and he has given your communication, your network. I am really grateful. I will look forward to your help in the future also. Yes, Father Ben.
Yes, Father. Father, there is a question from Deal. Okay. What is the crowdfunding? Like, do little more details of crowdfunding.
Yeah, I mean, crowdfunding, it is actually, they can explore by themselves, but then in just again, I would say, because of the time, because crowdfunding, if you sit, you'll have to sit at a stage at least one day to understand. But as I said, simply, we will be part of a network of NGOs who will be facilitated by one formal NGO, maybe like Give India. I suppose we know about Give India. Give India was giving a lot of grants earlier, and now they have started this initiative. But earlier, this was being facilitated by another agency called Let's Change. So what do they do is we become a member in their network, and then we first put our profile. We project our profile. That profile is publicized to the public. And then they also ask us to come up with a campaign. Campaign means any need that you have for a particular village, or particular school, or particular community, for women or anything. But that should not go beyond I mean, it cannot be like more. So maybe the maximum is 10 lakhs. So 10 lakhs or 20 lakhs is a maximum. So you make a campaign for that purpose, and then you project it. So you just say who are the beneficiaries, what are they going to benefit, and how within how much of time that you require this money. All that you will be specifying. They have a specific format. This campaign will be projected in the public crowdfunding portal. It is a portal. It's an online portal. So you just click, and then your name will come. Suppose if Talir has registered, automatically Talir will come in the page. So there will be several other members. All members will be there. You just click on the Talir, and then people will know what Talir is asking for. And suppose if they click on Bethany, what Bethany wants. So like that they will know. So already there are some religious people who are part of that. I did so for some religious congregations in Bangalore, and they are part of that, and they are trying to make some money out of it. And we are also making an effort. So this is how. And suppose if you want this money by December end, you want to give clothing to some particular community people for Christmas, and you ask 10 lakhs, and before that there is a process. You have to share some of your documents, and maybe your FCRA document, your audited statements, your annual reports and things like that, your registration certificate and things like that. And you need to be having a 12A, and 12A is enough. 12A and 80G, if it is there, it is fine. Otherwise, it is okay. So that's a kind of a thing. So it's in simple sense, generating a smaller amount, let's say 10 lakhs from a larger crowd. It's a crowd funding. The crowd is giving the fund. So, and another interesting thing is, in your particular page, you will see who is contributing. Suppose as soon as you open your campaign, if I contribute 1,000 rupees, it will come Prabhakar has contributed 1,000 rupees. So all the list of people with from whom you are receiving money also will be listed, and immediately that agency will send the acknowledgement note to the giver. So once the money is accumulated, once in a month, they will give you whatever is being accumulated for your need. So at the end of the time period, if 10 lakhs is received, or all that you have received will be given to you without any kind of this thing, because the tax and aspect and all, they will take care. So this process will be understood once the person who is interested to knowing more has to go and search by himself. So go just tap in the Google search, put crowdfunding platforms. So you will get a list of agencies that are coming forward to support. Yes, Far.
May I request one by something just intervene, sir?
Yes, Far. Yes, Far.
Because I think when you are asking about this are some of the important things, you also said that you take on full day to explain more about the crowdfunding.
Yeah.
Because as the days go, due to economic crunch and also the aftermath of the corona, there's a lot of need for knowing deeper into crowdfunding. Also clarity about log frame. Will you be available later on, maybe in the month of January or something, for a week, like this 5 days, which will be helpful for our participants? I'm not going to restrict you now, but maybe January or sometimes.
Yeah, since as of now I'm committed to Jesuits, Loyola in Chennai.
Yeah,
I will check with Father Francis, and then I will get back.
Correct. This will be helpful because there
Yeah.
many seems to be in need of this, as well as also that one more thing what you wanted is that what are the government resources available here now, that also you wanted to utilize. There are so many things available, and the government, if you register, they are also helping to speed up this FCRA process also. Some of the rules and regulations have been formed into that, I think.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
For George Anand is asking about log frame analysis.
Yeah, I think.
Explain.
Yeah, I as Father said just now, and hopefully, if time permits, I think we will have to spend, because this is not a kind of a two-line statement that can explain easily. We'll have to practically do this. Only then I think we will be able to get into the complete mode of log frame.
Yeah.
Because in gist what I shared, if they are able to see that picture and understand, it is well and good. Otherwise, I think we'll have to really sit for a few hours at a stretch and then try to understand that.
Thank you, Father. Subhashini Usha is asking, please tell us how to propose a project.
Yeah, proposal means simply quite a few things, like what is the goal of the project, and what are the objectives, and what are the kind of activities, and of course what are the indicators that your project will be successful, or the expected results. We used to call earlier as expected results. So that will come again. That is again, as I said, will form the proposal. But concept note also is again, maybe if you are writing a concept note, you can state your interest for getting this grant in a 2-page or 4-page. So how to write, that also is a kind of enormous thing that we can list down all this and then make it as Father Nitya suggested. Maybe we can sit some other time at a stretch to exclusively understand each of these things.
Yeah, thank you, Father. Thank you, brother. Sister Rosalind is asking this question. Can you give us few CSR companies in Mumbai?
Yeah, I mean, the Mumbai itself, I mean, you can just put the CSR foundations or corporate companies in Mumbai. So you will get a list. Maybe.
Can I interrupt? Yes. We can put, I have number of companies, but you should know the person. Reference point is required. Reference is not there, then you will not get easily.
No, sister. Actually, I mean, a reference with the CSR will rarely work. The CSR will see whether you are working in their purview. Suppose if you are approaching a kind of this HCL extension there, HCL foundation there, and then they will see whether they have some operations in your area. And suppose if some other corporate companies are there, and they will again see whether you are in their purview, and also they will see whether you are trying to implement what they are ready to support with. So that all that you will have to see. Maybe you can ask Father Nitya through him. Maybe we will see how it can be helped and extend this help.
Yeah, if no, I right now I'm working with the CSR. But
Yes.
if you have a reference, it's easily you can. What I understood is that way, and also you spoke about retention. Now
Yeah.
CSR has got I mean 3 years, 4, 6 years at the most, 6 to 7 years they support.
Yeah.
How do we do that retention then?
No, I mean, my point of retention was mainly to sustaining the donors, other donors.
Okay.
CSR, as you said, I mean, they will have a particular year and they will point of time that within which they will be able to support. And besides that, maybe we'll have to look for another one. Retention in the sense, keep following, I mean, whatever the major donors that you have been supported earlier, because they are supporting, they continue to support. Maybe some concept or some proposal that are unique, they think, and sometimes the donors come forward to support. So I was talking basically about the donors with whom you are connected earlier. So how to re-establish the relationship, how to get their relationship back to us by keep on proposing something. So that's why in this case we don't have to sit and write a kind of extensive proposal. Just keep sending a pager, one pager request, just concept.
Concept note.
Yeah, concept note. A concept note in the sense, just explain what you want to do. So, and if something it is unique, definitely they will either support you directly or give you, I mean, a reference. That is happening.
Yeah, just now I have registered Auxilium Skills Academy.
Oh, okay. You are simultaneously working. Great, sister.
Not great. So
Yeah.
I need a CSR.
Okay.
At least for 5 centers.
Oh, okay.
Please give me the reference.
Yeah, and let me try, sister. Maybe we will discuss further on this with Father Nitya.
Thank you very much, sir. I think the group is slowly, they'll be having other commitments, but I think they can continue once again this clarification. There are so many things to be clarified, I think. But one thing I find is there are two types of groups here. One is already working in the field with all these latest developments. Yes. Another group is completely new to this, the mindset. So I think there is a lot of need for work culture, the mental work, the homework, connected to the internet. I think how to enter into this kind of agencies, all these things, we need some more time. Another thing is, I would like to inform all these people who are here, please inform your provincial superior or your higher ups that we need one more week of updating in order to be effective social workers for fundraising, as well as the methodologies, strategies, especially the log frame is very, very essential. And also the crowdfunding is a very, very good thing, and also the government funding. These things can be done maybe for another week, but you our fathers to go for prayer time. So we'll shift it to 5 to 6:30 so that many more people can participate in it. Now may I request Father Van from Jamaica all the way, the early morning man, to come and hear some few words of thanks. Father Van, you can unmute your mic, Father. He is a missionary there, a great missionary for several years. He has been involved with several activities and also connected to the people, welfare of the people, development of the people, working among the marginalized people. Is a right person to tell us on behalf of Thalir and the whole, all of us, gratitude to Mr. Prabhakar. Welcome, Father.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Father Nitya. It's a really pleasure for me to listen carefully about Mr. Prabhakar presentation. It was a systematic, very clearly framed PowerPoint presentation, and also the explanation, every word was very clear, and we are able to understand, and then we can be able to put in our practical life. So therefore, really an excellent presentation, which is more useful for a particular time of this year time, COVID-19, how to implement the improvement of our people. So really, we thank you for Mr. Prabhakar. Really a wonderful presentation, and we expect and we request you to come back again and give us more details, the framework of lawful ways, and also the project presentation, how to deal with different situations. So thank you so much, Father Mr. Prabhakar. And also I would like to extend my thanks to the Thalir group, begin with Father Nitya and the group. Really, Father Nitya and myself used to be in Rome some time before. I had a good relationship. He is a very intelligent and very simple, very down to earth to bring. When I saw the video presentation where he was in the school, villages gathering together and bringing the children to be aware of, really a great, it's an eye-opening for me. Still I am really learning a lot from this presentation in order to implement what are called for, because I'm called to work for the welfare of the children, welfare of the poor, and welfare of the needy. So even though I was teaching at the colleges, universities, and so living in the cities and so on, now I prefer to the villages and to also provide my time, my talents, and God's gift to those people. So really, I appreciate and admire Thalir group. So particularly Father Nitya's organization, that God continue to bless every one of you and to bring more and more awareness and more improvement, and bring them ultimately to God's field. Amen. Thank you very much, Mr. Prabhakar and Father Nitya, all those who are taking part in this.
Thank you, Father. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for getting up so early morning to attend our session. Thank you so much.
Yes. I have to come for 45 minutes traveling to come for the internet.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes, Father Ben, you may continue with some more questions to Father Mr. Prabhakar.
I think Sister Rosalind is again having a clarification. Go ahead, sister.
1 second. Just now, I forgot what to ask. Wait, I'll just take.
Okay. Next.
Yes.
Later on, you can come back.
Yes.
No problem.
Yeah. Further, Shanti Priya, sorry, brother, Shanti Priya is asking this question. How to hunt the funding agencies?
The websites. The websites, Father. Actually, You just go, I mean, funding agencies, just put in the Google search, and in the alphabetical order it will come. Sometimes they come also in the component based this thing. Suppose there is a website called NGO Box. You can also register on that. There they continuously give grants which are specifically, I mean, based on South Asia and Indian specific. So you can get registered with this thing called NGO Box or CSR Box. So both of them, they give a lot of openings, and they keep sending. So based on our need, maybe we can see if some calls are coming, and we can also apply in that.
Yeah. Please give us the USA website from John Mary.
Just put USAID. USAID, I think, I hope they, I mean, they don't get help directly to NGOs. I think mostly they work with the governments. So, or USAID, sometimes they give. I mean, I think the earlier this year they had given some call for proposals to India, I mean to Asia, which also included as this thing. That's why to understand USAID calls, as I said, please sign in to register in grants.gov. That is all US based calls will be reflected there, and they will also frequently send you in case if there are some calls in India or in the place where you are working, from where you are registering. So from that country specific, if you register, all the intimations will be sent to you, and then you can also apply, because USAID has some procedures. You can't immediately apply. Sometimes some projects have to go through some kind of, you have to get some number, which they call, I think, SAN number or something like that. So that number you have to get, all that is there. So if you explore by yourself, it will be very nice, because you will learn by yourself, and then you will be able to understand the processes much clear. Otherwise, for every clarity, you'll have to, maybe you'll be coming back to me. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, please
Yeah,
yes,
go ahead, sister.
Mr. Rosen here. Please explain Keto fundraising. I just registered, but things didn't work out for me.
Keto.
Yes.
This is now because of COVID situation, maybe they will respond little late, sister, but somehow they will respond to you. You can just see Keto, and you'll have to also see whether, I mean, because the name of Keto, there are also several other fraudulent websites also are there. So you have to get into the right Keto, this thing. So you keep trying, you will definitely get.
Secondly, it's a individual fundraising, or it was also for the NGO fundraising. Like,
you can also do individually, you can also do as NGO. That is the kind of provision that you have with the crowdfunding. Crowdfunding, as an individual also you can raise fund, but then they also have some requirements which has to be met. Some crowdfunding platforms support that, and some don't. So you'll have to also, that's why I said you first list down the crowdfunding platforms that are available. Go through every website of their this thing, you understand, be convinced, because some may be also a fraudulent kind of websites. So you'll have to definitely study thoroughly the crowdfunding platforms, and then once you are convinced, once you see some visibilities there, some evidences shown through them, then you can go for application, and then you can go for approaching that.
yeah, thank you. I also would like to know CSR with CSR box, and is it is worth for CSR?
Yes, sister. You can register in CSR box, and they will also send you continuously. There is also another website called Funds for NGOs. So that also you can go. So all these websites will give you a list of grants, and then you see whatever is matching you, and you can start applying on that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. During the pandemic, COVID-19, how can we generate funds? What are the techniques, especially when the whole world is in facing financial crisis?
Uh, See, actually, there are several initiatives have already taken. I mean, you just imagine. I mean, where is this person from? The place, father. This person is asking.
Bethany sisters, actually.
Oh, Jamaica.
Jamaica. Okay. Yeah, maybe in their locations, maybe when they'll have to come out.
What's the question? I don't know. For the Ben,
Yes, Father.
Father is asking from where they are asking the question, which country or which location.
Bethany, it says
Bethany sisters, India,
Yeah, India means where, father? I mean, which location?
from Mangalore or Northeast, they are in different places. Sister, the one who is questioned, the sister Bethany can say which area, location, sister.
I think she has left now. Yeah. She left.
They can find the fund there only, where she has left and gone. Okay.
Okay. Dell PC asking again CSR Bangalore. Please name some CSR in Bangalore. I am working with slum women and children.
See, again, one for example, I can say is HCL Foundation. They are doing a lot for the slum children in the urban areas, and maybe he can log on to that one, and there itself they have given the contact person, email ID and person's name and all, and they can get in touch with the person, and they will tell, I mean, for they support the slum children and things like that. So HCL Foundation is one that comes forward to support, I know, because they have some schemes for specifically supporting urban children.
So one, sir, Mr. Prabhakar,
Yes, Pa.
I think there is a difficulty with this. Many of the social workers, they are not in touch with the signs of the times. Many of them, they are only writing in the old classical style of looking for donation agencies like that. The latest thing is the world is in our hand, the Google search, and the variety of way of looking at this Google searching is not known, I think, maybe some of them are not even in touch with the internet. Because I conducted 2 years before a meeting in Lucknow. It's a national meeting. When the government official came and told these are the amounts allotted for the poorest of the poor, POP, many people did not know how to use internet. I was really shocked because they are not in touch with them. They think that internet is meant for the university professors and college sisters. No, it is meant first for the social workers. They should be in touch with the latest thing. What till yesterday it has gone, we should know. What the FCRA rule has come, we should know. I think this is one difficulty. I think you can speak to the group that unless the day-to-day reality, every at least 10 to 15 minutes or 15 to 30 minutes of internet Google searching, we will not be able to really get into touch with the people. The whole world internet is. Yes.
No, you are right, Father. Actually, this is, I think, one of the core point that maybe you can take it up in the next session.
Yeah. Thank you.
How to log into kind of websites and identify sources and things like that.
Yes.
And another advantage is that each one has their mobile. As most of them have smart mobile, I believe, and they can very well search in their mobile itself, because that itself will give a lot of.
Brother, another question from for Anthony Swami. Are there any guidelines to apply for same project in more than one agency?
No, I don't get.
Suppose you have one project, can you just apply that or try to get fund from 2-3 agencies?
For the same project?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can, but thing is, you'll have to mention in your proposal. Suppose if you are asking for a 10 crore project, so if you are seeking support from this particular agency 2 crore, so how are you going to source the remaining 8 crore? So what are the other agencies that you are approaching? That you'll have to mention in your proposal. Then it will not be a problem. In case if they don't mention that they are also taking money from the other this thing, then later on when they come for some monitoring and things like that, it can create some problem. For the continuity, for the sake of continuity with the same agency, they can better mention the some place. Maybe they can say they can share up cost as a title and then put as this your agency is sharing so much and actual cost of the project is this much and we are looking for support from elsewhere like that. So that would be nice. So definitely we can, one project can be supported by several agencies. That's what I was talking about, that matching grant concept. No? So the grant, matching grant can come from us or from elsewhere also, provided we have the potential to pool that resource.
Yeah, Father, is that answer satisfies you, or you can ask?
Yes, thank you, Father.
Okay. I think to sum up the questions, I think it's all over, Father. We have many of them have asked your mobile number and email ID. I think Father Nitya will take care.
Yes, yes.
And so many of them wanted to be added in the WhatsApp group.
Yes, I would like to answer Father Ben.
Yes.
Please, those who are not in the WhatsApp group, if you are really interested in getting the PowerPoint and the video messages or the full talk of the video, please come into the WhatsApp group. Now, A group is already full. You can come to the WhatsApp group B. So I am sending, my number is known to you, my number. Please send a message to my number from your WhatsApp, and I myself will add you into the group, or I'll send the link, the B group link. That will be helpful for you. Thank you. I'll send just now in the message, the chat box to everyone, my number. Yes, thank you. I sent it. You can go through that and just send a message through that, your name and your congregation. Then I'll put in the list also for the future thing also, I'll get it. And also Father, Mr. Prabhakar will give that model, the project model also will be sent to you in that, which we could not show. I think this is fine. Anything else, Father Ben?
I think that's all, Father.
Okay. Before we end up, I would like to thank Mr. Prabhakar for his availability. That means depending on the permission and other official thing to help us once again. So we need some things like this for sir, the log frame strategy methodology and crowdfunding. Many are interested. Then CSR and the government funds. And another thing is participatory rural appraisal. This many are not that mapping, no, that these things I'll propose to you, and so they can propose the provinces and come for it later on for another week of training. Probably we can anticipate the timing, the January, so it will be helpful for them. In the meantime, they can go through some methodology that you have given already. It was excellent yesterday and today. They can go through that and come. This is one request from our side to get you. If there's any request we can make to your higher ups also. This has been a marvelous help for many of us.
Thank you, Father.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Father Ben, anybody is there?
I think it's all, that's all, Father.
Thank you so much, Mr. Prabhakar. You really brought into a lot of treasures for us. There's so many things I think we are not known for. For me, the crowdfunding is a very good thing. And also local resources, how to collect the local resources. This is high time for us to local resources because of the challenge that we have got also from the government. So we should be very alert. And I think it will be able to help us to proceed further effectively to serve the poor people. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.